Hey everyone, this is Mike. Today we're back at Monster Hunter World's Iceborne and wanted to talk a little bit about the new piece of endgame content that we got in Iceborne. Back in base game Monster Hunter World, all we really had at endgame were some events that went on every now and then our investigations to farm bosses for materials or for those decorations. But now in Iceborne we have a new piece of content called the Guiding Lands, which is also kind of referred to as the endgame island or the grinding lands, because it is basically a expedition that you go out to and then you can stay there for as long as you want and you can just fight as many monsters as you want. Now my first impressions for this piece of content were pretty good. It is a really fun place to be because it's so varied, because you have those 4 different regions at the moment at least. The other 2 will be added in a future patch, but right now you have those 4 different regions and they're very small, so you go from one region to the next very quickly and it is all a very smooth experience, not only from just going there fighting a random monster that's already there or fighting a specific monster in a specific region to level up that specific region as well. So I think the overall experience is pretty good, but I do have one major complaint with it, and that is how the leveling works. So if you don't know how all of the high-end game stuff works, I guess, for the Guiding Lands, basically you want to level up your regions to a specific level, and then once they reach that specific level, you're able to spawn in, or they are allowed to spawn in naturally, a lot harder monster. Like for example, you need level 6 of the Ancient Forest to get the Scarred Yangaruga, which you kind of want for augmentation and stuff like that. When it comes to, for example, what I'm after, the Silver Rathalos, you need level 6 of the Coral Highlands. But here comes what I have the main issue with this thing. So leveling it takes a little bit of time, but that's okay because it is supposed to be your endgame grind. So I don't mind that leveling takes some time, but what I do have a problem with is the fact that you can't level all of your regions at the same time. So there is a cap on how much total experience you can allocate to your different regions. And of course you can de-level your regions, you can make it so that they don't level further. But the problem is that, say for example, I want to farm that Silver Rathalos right now to get my bow set, because I've been playing a lot of bow again lately. So I go and I level up my Coral Highlands. My Coral Highlands reaches level 6, I can farm Silver Rathalos, and then once I'm done farming him, for example, say I want to get that Yangaruga gear, or the Scarred Yangaruga, then I now have to maybe, say for example I also leveled my Wildspire, raised to level 6, I now have to de-level my forest, or de-level my Coral Highlands, so that I can start leveling my forest again. And then for example, say a new monster gets released or something that I need Coral Highlands for example a weapon or a piece of armor that I didn't craft of Rathalos yet, of Silver Rathalos, and I still want to get that, I now have to de-level the forest again and then level my Coral Highlands to 6 again so that I can fight, of course, at Silver Rathalos again. So that's kind of where my kind of dislike of this whole system is. Of course, I'm not sure whether it is going to change when they add the next 2 regions, because of course the Hoarfrost Reach and the I forget the name, basically the lost content thingy where you fight all of the Elder Dragons in the story of Monster Hunter World. Those 2 areas are not in the game yet for PC, so maybe we'll be able to level 3 areas, but then the problem remains that it's still only 3 out of 6. So if you want to make complete use of this Guiding Lands, you always need to have at least 1 friend. Maybe if it stays with 2 regions that you can have at max, you might need a 3rd friend for when they add the next 2 regions. So that's kind of why I dislike the concept behind the leveling. When it comes to actually playing the Guiding Lands, I like it a lot. You basically don't really lose anything from dying unless you die after you've killed a monster. So death is kind of irrelevant, meaning that you can also use stuff like, I forgot the name of the skill, but basically when you die you get like a lot stronger. You can use that if you really want to. Then of course, just going in, you can either just spawn in, fight some monsters that are already there, or you can fight a specific monster if you're trying to find some gear or something like that. Of course, when it comes to decoration farming and stuff, tempered investigations are still going to be better, but when it comes to just farming monsters, I guess investigations would always still be better, but when you go to the Guiding Lands and you fight them there, at least you'll be able to level up those specific regions to work towards unlocking those new bosses, because certain bosses you just can't fight unless you level up your guiding lands enough, like for example Silver Rathalos, Gold Raytheon, and then of course the young Garuga as well, and there's probably still a few others. So you do need to level those guiding lands. So if you don't need to do those investigations, or you don't want to speed up the item acquisition, I guess you could say, by doing those investigations, then going into the guiding lands is going to be the best way to go about it, because it is also going to be leveling up those regions, which is something that is really important. So I guess if we were to take a TLDR, I think the guiding lands is a really cool concept. I like the piece of content a lot. The only issue I have with it is the fact that you can only max out 2 of your regions, and making it so that there is basically an addition to the grind when you want to switch in between different levels, or switch in between different regions being at maximum level. So that's kind of my opinion on the grinding lands. I like it. Also that small issue with the levels, but other than that, I think it's a really great piece of content, and I'm looking forward to them adding the next 2 regions to it as well in the future patches. So that's gonna be it for me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.